All right, everyone, it's time for another quick update. I am now on Gab, which is sort of the Reddit-ish style alternative to Twitter. This comes in the wake of also joining VidMe as sort of a counterpart to YouTube. What I'll be doing is anytime that I upload a video, notifications here just keep getting more buggy. So I've already been sharing it all to Facebook and Twitter. I wanted to add Gab to that mix, and also on Gab, there's basically no censorship. So sometimes I might mouth off there and say things that might get you like harassed on Twitter or something like that. Like I know that Gab gets cast off as like a Nazi platform or something because a lot of the alt-right uses it because Twitter keeps banning people. But then again, there's also like people that are like, they're just religious nuts, seen some of them on Gab as well. And people that are like further to the left, like they might prop up literal communism and the things that they say wouldn't be considered socially acceptable on Twitter. I happen to support free speech completely. So I'm glad to use Gab. And actually, like I had trouble the other day. I was going to register an account, but I had trouble registering. Today, last night though, I managed to get it to work. I also got Insta verified, which was funny. I'm assuming because, of course, I announced on Twitter that I'd be joining it, so they know that it's actually my account. So link in the description if you want to follow me there. Like if you use Gab more than you use like these other services, basically I'm a YouTuber at my core, and VidMe is sort of the backup component to that. Because of course VidMe, different company, slightly different set of rules, different audience that doesn't fully overlap. Why the hell wouldn't I be using it? It's actually growing quite rapidly. Apparently I'm number 4 in followers on all of VidMe too, which is really great. It's really fun. But then I was like, well, I share my videos out via Facebook. I share them out via Twitter. But there are also people who, I mean, the reason they use Gab is they were banned on Twitter. They probably don't have Facebook accounts if they can't stand the censorship on Twitter. Facebook is worse. So why am I not on Gab at this point? So yeah, it's a good time is had by all. But here I would like to also announce I won't be branching out into any more platforms because I'm on YouTube, VidMe, Dailymotion, at least for the occult videos that I back up there, Twitter, Gab, and Facebook. I think that's enough for one person to handle. It gets to the point where it used to be, I upload a video on YouTube. As soon as it's done processing, everything's done. Now I have to share it out on several different platforms. Double upload to VidMe, and then potentially, depending on the subject, also triple upload to Dailymotion with my account there. That's enough. Like if I had a channel that was 10 times larger, I'd probably hire somebody to help me branch out even elsewhere. Like at some point I do need a website. Hopefully I can collate everything together on that as well and sort of replace the blog with something more functional. But at this time, I don't really have the means to do that, to have like a dedicated staffer or anything like that. So I'm just going to handle it myself as I always have. I even thought about like changing up the setup here for video making. I was going to like move the desk back here, have a wider shot. Then I realized I couldn't really make it work. Like the angle was all wrong. It looked like shit. And I'm like, oh, screw it. I'm just going to stay with the way that I've been doing things because it's obviously working. People are listening to the material, watching the material. Why would I change things up at this point other than to branch out into probably the last platform of any viability, which is Gab. Like Gab and VidMe are the startups that are viable. I think they'll continue to grow. Even if they don't achieve hegemony, they're certainly going to continue to grow. They're doing just fine. There's no reason not to use them. Dailymotion's basically dead. I'd sort of use it as backup, but there are people that just use Dailymotion, I guess, like 10 people. I'll just keep the occult stuff there. I think it's a French site too, and France is heavily into mysticism and occultism and stuff. A lot of the best grimoires were French, so you know what I'm talking about. So I will begin sharing out links to all uploaded YouTube material on Gab. I will occasionally make comments there, just as I do on Twitter. Sporadically on Facebook, I do the same thing. Ultimately, for most people, you're probably going to end up following me on Twitter for, updates that are current. If you've been banned there or you just don't like Twitter, you're probably following me on Gab. Facebook at this point is basically the third wheel because Facebook, they have their own problems with actually amalgamating and sending out material. And of course, unless you're using a phone, like if you're using a computer like I am, unless you're checking through the timeline, you're not necessarily seeing the update anyway, even though I know more and more people use phones. Yeah, I will rue the day when I'm finally forced to purchase an actual smartphone. because of course I'm not using my own for the garden updates, although it is smartphone based. It's going to be a sad day when I have no choice but to do that, because increasingly now video on the go sort of stuff and streaming via phone on some app is becoming more and more popular. YouTube, it's now become obvious with its notification glitches that it's attempting to drive people into not uploading multiple videos per day, but rather streaming. It appears that YouTube is trying to undercut Twitch or something like that. I think that's what they're doing. So I may be forced into that. I'm always going to upload standalone videos, but at some point I'm going to have no choice but to do like daily live streams as well, and sort of amalgamate most of the stuff I'd want to talk about into a show. The problem is I refuse to do that until I have a call-in setup. I've had some people say use Discord. It's too fucking confusing. I'm not using that. I'd rather use Skype for such a thing. And you have to use classic Skype now because the new Skype basically is Discord. They look exactly the same. They function the same. It's like Windows 10, the video app. It doesn't really work for me. I like the classic standalone look. I like classic standalone on everything. That's why in Windows 10 I've got like classic shell and some of these things, so that I can actually see the real genuine startup menu as it was meant to be in the good old days of Windows 7, when things actually functioned properly, looked attractive, and Microsoft gave half a damn. But yeah, I'm on Gab. Now that that little rant is out of the way. If you want to follow me there again, link in the description. That's about all. Peace out.